Afternoon, my witchling. Today we're going to talk about integrating your light and dark natures. I always describe the natural vibration of life energy as wholeness. I used to refer to it as pure positive in some of the conversations I've had, but that term was highly misleading, just as the term negative is misleading. The reason why wholeness is a better term to describe the natural vibration of life energy is because one can't construe a narrow meaning from it. Wholeness means that which encompasses all. When you integrate your dark and light nature, you always sense wholeness. If you either go too dark or too light, you lose touch with this vibe of wholeness. And basically, you start vibrating in an unstable mode. Dark does not mean negative, and the light does not mean positive. It's like yin and yang, masculine, feminine, day and night. One is not positive and the other is not negative. It's just two polarities of the same energy. Negativity, in its true sense, is simply a resistance to this balance at any moment. When you go too dark or too light, you go into negativity in that moment, and you will then need to come back to balance to feel whole again. Of course, there's nothing wrong with negativity. It's just an indicator for growth, an indicator that you are out of balance. And unless you are really unconscious, you can always sense the negativity in you. It's always about being authentic with yourself. When you come to a place of inner stability, this balance is your predominant state of being. Moreover, you feel very aware of any form of imbalance, negativity that a situation may create in you, and are not lost in it for long. You are quick to gain an understanding of the negativity. The balance gets restored very quickly, even when it's disturbed. Isn't dark nature a negative force? For example, when I seen the movie Star Wars, especially because I learned that the movie is about a fight between the dark side and light side, though the movie used the term light side to describe one community, in truth, this community had people who were balanced. They were not imbalanced in light nature. They had integrated their dark and light nature to create a balance in themselves. This is the reason why these people were about to defend themselves against the dark side, a community of people who were imbalanced in dark nature of hatred, and in fact defeat them. The light side community in this movie had warriors, teachers, who were professionals in the use of weaponry and the utilizing of the life force to fight against attacks from the dark side. To be a warrior of peace, one can't be fully light-natured. One needs to bring in a balance between the dark nature of hatred and light nature. If one is imbalanced in light nature, one would just surrender to any force that tries to invade them. If you look around or see any superhero movies, you'll notice that a good guy who can be a badass when needed is the one who can make a difference towards eliminating an evil force. A super nice person who is all sweet will be no match to an evil force. By evil, I just mean a force that's imbalanced. It could be imbalanced in light nature or dark nature, and would sit on his or her haunches being a victim. We see this balance in all our heroes. This is a prime example of the good that emerges out of a balance, integration of light and dark nature in a person. One word to define such a person is powerful. And this is the potential we all have, because that's our very nature. And if you are conscious, you can tap into this power by creating this balance within you. You can see this in all good versus evil movies, books, folk tales. The hero is always someone who has attained a balance of his or her light and dark nature. Consider the example of a human who has a very loving nature. If you do a reality check and notice his or her personal life, you will find a lot of suffering. A very loving nature immediately translates to oversensitivity. Someone who can be emotionally influenced easily, and also translates to a victim mindset where one is willing to sacrifice oneself and one's happiness for others. Obviously, the others are happy to have such a good person around. Someone who is willing to sacrifice himself or herself for their happiness. But this person's personal life would be a tale of suffering. Now, you may suggest that it's the others who make this loving person's life miserable. And if everyone was as strongly loving as this person, then there would be no problems in this world and it would be a utopia or a paradise. So let's imagine a world where everyone is strongly loving. So basically, we always look to conform with each other and never do anything that we perceive may be a cause of dislike for others. We are all always looking to be super nice. What you will notice in such a society is the end of individuality. It will just become a homogeneous society. Individuality always requires you to be a nonconformist at some level, and an all-loving person is so concerned about the outside that she will always suppress his or her individuality. Expressing individuality is part of your dark nature. Conformity is part of your light nature. A progressive society is the one where this is a balance between individuality and conformity. One has to be recognizant about the well-beings of others, while also being true to one's identity, individuality. And this requires a balance. If you are only concerned about conforming, or if you are only concerned about your individuality, in both cases, you will create an imbalance of some form. People who are only concerned about their individuality while not heeding to their environment surroundings end up becoming exploiters and create suffering through their rebellious mindset. People who are only concerned about conforming are too meek to do anything original as a part of their individual expression out of fear of being judged. Once you balance your dark and light nature, you can balance your individuality with collective harmony. A society which is deeply light-natured is highly weak and can be erased immediately by an outside challenge. A society which is deeply dark is highly violent and would erase itself on its own. A balanced society which has a balance of dark and light nature in its people gets the best of both of these polarities. They are powerful while being orientated towards collective harmony. Negativity is an indication of imbalance. Balance is what we move towards once we become conscious, as we bring a deeper awareness to our mind and to life in general. This balance becomes established easily once you identify your imbalance in a very conscious, non-emotional, scientific manner. You could be imbalanced in the dark nature or in the light nature. Any negativity that you sense as your personal experience of your reality is an indication of an imbalance in you that this negativity is reflecting. Neediness, guilt, meekness, getting exploited, abused, feeling helpless, feeling vulnerable are examples of negativity that's evident in the reality of a person who is imbalances in his or her light nature. This person is or is trying to be too inclined towards light nature. Greed, overindulgence, violence, overcompetitiveness, strong jealousy, racism, are examples of a negativity that's evident in the reality of a person who has imbalances in his or her dark nature. Being aware of negativity is something very personal. Only you can tell if you are experiencing negativity. It's something very personal to your consciousness. You can be unaware of your negativity and keep attracting imbalances until you finally wake up. Also, circumstances don't define negativity. Two people can be living in the same household and one may be experiencing negativity within while the other may be at peace. Negativity is always a personal experience because this feeling is an identification of your reaction, and your reaction comes purely from your own inner imbalance or balance. You may say that the outside is prompting you to be imbalanced, but that's not how life works. The outside came later. The inside comes first. Just be honest. If a situation can cause you to feel imbalanced, how balanced were you? So, is the situation at fault, or is it just revealing an imbalance you were not aware of before? When you are imbalanced in your light nature, you automatically try to suppress, avoid, get rid of aspects of your dark nature in your mind and vice versa. This suppression is what comes out as an imbalance of energy and is reflected by the outside. If you want to bring a balance to yourself, you need to let go of blaming, fighting the outside, and start asking yourself, what is the growth that I can allow in myself to be free of this imbalance within? The growth could be in the form of letting go of a limiting belief, changing a habit, changing your attitude, facing a fear, developing your understanding of life, becoming more open-minded, letting go of lack, struggle, mindset. Understanding yourself, but ultimately at the core, it's about balancing your dark and light natures. And this growth or balance happens automatically when you let go of identification with the imbalance. If you take the time to introspect, you will always find out what exactly is the imbalance in you that's causing the negativity. You're either imbalanced towards dark or towards light. These are the only two imbalances possible. For example, living in guilt about hurting others is rooted in an unbalanced light nature, and it can or will attract a lot of negativity for you unless you balance it with the understanding that people attract their own experiences, and you are not responsible for how they make themselves feel. Be sensitive to others, but don't let them blackmail you emotionally by making you responsible for their happiness. A balance happens when you let go. The quickest way to balance out an imbalance is to become aware of it, and then let go of identification with it. Nothing else is needed. It's only your mind that gets into an imbalance. Your life force is already in a movement towards bringing a balance to your mind. So as soon as you let go of holding on to a pattern of imbalance, the balance happens on its own. Of course, you may have exercised this imbalance for so long that it feels like a part of your identity, and to let go of it feels scary. For example, a person who is rooted in guilt is afraid of letting go of the mindset of guilt, out of the fear that he or she will become a different person. It does take some courage to let go of an old mindset. The mind will keep producing the old patterns of thought for a while, maybe for a few months, but if you just stay disidentified, it's bound to die away. Actually, Being disidentified requires some amount of dark nature, where you don't succumb to the pressure of the mind's old patterns and its threats of doom. So you can see how the dark nature is a powerful towards bringing a balance. Your whole genetic structure, including your brain's neural pathways, gets reprogrammed as you release your imbalances, your negativity. By staying in a place of letting go, your DNA gets recoded. Of course, it only gets recoded towards a balance that was always supposed to be your natural state. You will feel like a new person only because you moved from an imbalance to your natural balance. However, you will sense that your core natural makeup is not altered. Only the aspects of your personality and outlook that were rooted in imbalance will be altered towards balance. For example, if you were deeply introverted before as a part of an imbalanced dark nature, the balance or recoding will cause your brain to have a balance in its social behavior. You will be introverted as a person, but would also find a balanced extroversion in your behavior. This reprogramming happens on its own if you just stay relaxed, resting in your space of being. Your life force already has the blueprint of what it takes to balance your mind, and if you just let go of your struggle with your mind, your life force will reprogram it for you. Reprogramming takes time, and since it has a lot to do with deconstruction of old patterns and embedding new patterns, it's a lot of energy work. And for a while, your body will feel this agitation of energy movement within mostly just sensation. Sometimes high intensity. It's not something you need to be concerned about. It's just a normal process from transition from imbalance to balance. Of course, I understand it's not as easy to just be not concerned, especially when you have restless nights, which does happen during the reprogramming. Now and then, and sense a lot of activity in your brain and agitation in your body, but it can be helped. It's just the way energy works, and it's all about movement of energy. There would be nothing better if this process was just a ride of bliss. But I would rather give you a realistic picture than give you a super sugar-coated version of what to expect. This way you know nothing negative is happening when you sense this process of balance taking place in you. A game of self-realization. It's about integrating the dark and light nature through the mirror of physicality. There can be a whole gamut of feelings: anger, frustration, insecurity, powerlessness, and a whole gamut of events or life situations that happen for you that trigger these feelings, that cause them to be unearthed. And depending on how imbalanced you were, and it's all part of this balancing act done by the intelligence of your life force. It's orchestrated for a reason, to get you to a balance. You may wish that there was a sweet path to balance, but sweet is just light nature, and this balance is about integrating dark nature and light nature. So unless you get exposed to the imbalances of dark nature or to the imbalances of light nature, you can't really come to conscious of balance. None of this is done while tampering with your well-being. It's just that the mind can make hasty conclusions, mostly negative ones, about what is happening and pull the alarm chain too soon. If you stay relaxed, you will notice how things keep falling place effortlessly. And this journey's intention is not to make you suffer. It's about a growth that you desired in your soul perspective. You desired an understanding of what balanced wholeness is, and you wanted to experience it live for yourself. That's one reason you made the choice to make this journey to Earth. Once you come to this balance, you no longer go through these lessons anymore, and your life just moves towards living your natural expression effortlessly. From a simple perspective, this journey is just a game that you partake in order to have the experience of understanding how to integrate the dark and light nature aspects of the energy that you are. It really is not any more serious than this, and I'm sure in your heart you get a resonance or memory of this truth, especially if you can relax your seriousness for a moment. You are life energy. You are already wholeness, balance, in your true nature. And the reason you are making this journey is for the experience of recognizing or realizing this wholeness through coming to a balance from a state of created imbalance. Because the only way you can know what wholeness is or your natural state is by first going into an imbalance. The only reason I am giving you this perspective is so that you don't take this process to be more serious than what it is. It's really just a game that you decide to play as your own choice from your non-physical perspective. For having an experience of having this, understanding and realizing a conscious integration of this balance in you, and everything that's happening to you right now is part of this desire that you had. Just get a sense in your heart and see if this perspective creates a recollection for you or if it resonates within you. If you find yourself in the midst of a lot of problems, don't see your life situation as negative. Rather, see it as a situation you had to experience for you to come to a conscious realization of your wholeness, balance. Although the integration of your dark and light nature by staying consciously, allowing of what arises, be it a dark energy or light energy, instead of resisting it, thus allowing your life force to create the balance in your physical body and mind, and you will sense these problems dissolving of their own. They've served their purpose. Well, that's all for now, lovelies. I hope you enjoyed my video. Please like, subscribe, and smash the notification bell to get more videos of mine. See you tomorrow. Bye, lovelies.